Hello and welcome into the KE Report. I'm your host, Shad Markwitz, and today we're getting an update on Goliath Resources. Trade on the TSX.V under the ticker GOT, and on the OTCQB under the ticker GOTRF. And we're joined today with the founder, CEO, and director of Goliath Resources, Roger Rosmus. And Roger, it's great to get you back on the show for an update. It's been a couple months since we chatted, but the news came out and you knew we needed an update here on the 15,000 meter drill program. And this is going to be kind of a multi-prong approach. You're going to be testing a number of targets. Let's start off here with the Surebet discovery. This encapsulates the Surebet Zone, the Bonanza Shear Zone, and then what you tagged at the very end of last year, the Golden Gate Zone. Walk us through, out of that drill program, some of the targets or some of the goals of this drill program.
Yeah, Shad, thanks for having me back. And, it's good to see that mobilizing again for yet another aggressive drill program here at our Surebet discovery. Yeah, the real goal here is to really go and test the feeder zone that brought all this mineralization to the Surebet discovery. Within those shears that you mentioned, obviously the Surebet Zone, the Bonanza and Golden Gate, there's been a significant update to the model where, instead of just the three mineralized horizons, the new interpretation from one of the parties we hired, there's now actually 10 shear zones or 10 veins. So that encompasses, like, obviously Bonanza, there's Dorado, Golden Gate, upper, lower. Actually, Surebet actually has an upper and a lower component. So it actually touches at one point, but then it splits as well. We've got Whopper, Goldzilla, etc. So with this drilling, we'll actually be able to test all of these, for the most part anyways, depending on how they're stacked, because it is a series of stacked shears, vein systems, or splays. So, with each drill hole, we'll be able to, well, depending where it's set up, but for the most part, we'll be able to hit multiple horizons, let's call it, within the system. But however, with the key focus of the, down on the volcanics, near like I say, we tagged in that Golden Gate late into the season last year, which was a whole brand new area of mineralization we didn't even know existed until, like I said, till the end of last year. So there'll be a number of pads set up closer to the valley floor. So before I get into that, I guess to sum it up, we've only drilled really from the peak of the mountain to the base of the mountain. So we have not really seen too many holes coming from below the valley floor, which is obviously in the volcanics. So with these series of drill pads set up closer to the valley floor, we'll be able to get into those volcanics in a very short period of time. As far as meters go, within a couple hundred meters, we'll be into the volcanics, and the series of holes that have been planned are, some are 800 up to 1,000 meters. And again, testing that intrusive related feeder zone theory that, Colorado School of Mines has come up with in their report. They believe it's a porphyry. We all agree it's some sort of intrusive related system, and really the hope is coming out of 2024 that we'll have a lot more information and possibly drill into a porphyry or this intrusive, call it the heat engine that brought all this mineralization to surface.
Yeah, Roger, I think a lot of people are excited to see you get down at depth there into the volcanics. And to your point, you've been drilling these longer holes that went through all these different horizons, the Surebet, the Bonanza Shear, and then down into the Golden Gate. Now being down on the valley floor and drilling into the volcanics, find possibly the heat source and see what kind of a system it actually is. Test the thesis, as you say. And then the other thing we should mention is that last year you also found a new zone that's not too far away, maybe 1 kilometer away, that's kind of in the same mineralized system, and that's the Jackpot Zone. Are you going to be testing that in this year's program?
Yeah, it's about 1 kilometer to the southeast of Pad A from the, where the Surebet is outcropping. And it's actually entirely in the volcanics. It's the structure that we're seeing exposed at surface is near vertical. However, it does have the same textures, same type of galena sphalerite. Like it's, you look at the material, it's essentially it's the same type of material we're seeing over at the Surebet discovery. And we think somehow this is tied into or part of the same system, because the Bonanza, as you recall, shear, we thought it was just a contact between the sediments above and the volcanics below. And it appears now with this new modeling that's been done is the Bonanza actually does follow the contact, but then now is actually slowly dipping down into the volcanics down towards that southeast Jackpot showing, where we got 21.5 ounce sample taken with copper numbers quite high, close to, I think it was like 8% copper over there. And as we see, as we go further down into the system, even from previous years' programs, we're seeing higher copper numbers. We've also see with the geochemistry work we've done, we're seeing higher sort of bismuth antimony, which typically is more or closely related or more proximal to this, again, to this feeder. So all indicators are pointing in the right direction, that we're vectoring in, vectoring down into those volcanics. And at the end of the day, this jackpot showing may be part of the feeder at the end of the day as well. So, which is, pretty incredible. Like it's just the gold on that is 636 grams per ton gold. It's almost 1,700 grams per ton silver. Just as mentioned, about 8% copper, and then 2.2% lead. And that comes from like a 30 centimeter wide quartz vein, which, as far as the visuals, it was like chalcopyrite was like 15%, pyrite 7%, galena is about 1%. So we know that we have 500 meters there of strike, 400 meters of vertical relief, and just looking at some recent drone footage that we took, this actually may even be longer than what we actually initially thought it could be. We're going to send some guys in there up this showing and up for sort of further up the mountainside and spend a couple days there just to see what in fact is going on at surface, and it could be an interesting update for the shareholders.
Yeah, I think between the Golden Gate being down in the volcanics and the Jackpot Zone being down in the volcanics and the potential to find some of those other metals, more copper, some of the bismuth, some of the other Pathfinder metals, I think it's going to be an exciting year to see what is hiding down in these volcanics. And I think a lot of people are interested to see if you start really hitting it big, Roger, do you think that you would biggie size the drill program? I know that sometimes it's a work in progress and you got to wait for assays to know what you're hitting, but in that particular case, if you keep hitting pay dirt, do you think that mid-season you'd say, hey, we need to press our bets here?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at our past, every year we've gone out with a decent sized program, and then by the end of it, we've increased it. Last year was 18,000, ended up drilling what 30, almost 36,000 meters, just based on all the visible gold we were seeing and all the great results that were coming out. So anything's possible. Clearly, the markets are improving here. Sentiment, I think, is slowly changing. Money is slowly moving back into the sector. So all the right things are happening, and from a timing point of view, it would be a good time to do that, assuming we continue to see the great results that we've had to date. And one thing I was going to mention too, in the volcanics, like majority of the deposits in the triangle, actually, the big ones are all in the volcanics. So we got lucky just having the fact that all that sedimentary unit up above is still there, where we're seeing exposed for 2 kilometers at surface, wrapping around the mountain like a horseshoe. So at the end of the day, that may be just kind of like the secondary target. Again, assuming we hit, like I say, the pay dirt down here in the volcanics in 2024. Another thing we're integrating this year, brand new, is some AI type technology, I guess, is this box scan, which will help obviously modeling, measuring as far as the structures and so on. So by the end of this year, we're going to have like a really good product as far as data goes. It's going to help us with future modeling. We will be also running a bunch of the core early on in the season here, once the machine shows up, from the 2022 core. And again, just to enhance that model, because it's just so important, to have a really, a better handle on these structures. And we're the best place to be drilling in to, get the main parts of the system versus drilling into, some of these dikes that are present.
Well, and I think it's also important to note that in the past, when you've done some drilling just in last year's program, I think about a third of it, you hit gold nuggets in some of the drill core. So if you start seeing stuff like that, I guess you'll know you're kind of in the right area. Maybe just speak to the amount of drilling you've already done on this project cumulatively, Roger.
Sure. Yeah, the entire Golddigger property is close to 67,000 meters in total. In the Surebet discovered, like the proper sort of that 1.8 square kilometer mineralized area is about 55,000 meters, 56,000 meters to date. With that, we have hit essentially on pretty much every hole drilled there from 2021 to 2023. Last year, we had, like, again, nuggets up to 11 millimeters in size, and about 35 to 40% of the holes actually did have visible gold, which obviously is very encouraging to see, pulling that out of the core for sure.
Well, and you also did some great work kind of further afield up to the north in the Cambria ice fields targets. And you got a couple different ones you went after with trenching, and you did some good rock chip samples, and your team got on there and made a couple new discoveries. And you're going to go test a couple of those this year. The ones that stick out to me were the Treasure Island target and the full contact target. But maybe just speak to some of the exploration work you'd be doing in the Cambria ice field area.
Sure, great. Yeah, so we did spend quite a bit of time on the Cambria ice fields last year, like about 6 weeks or so. We had a crew of six prospectors, and we came up with about seven targets, brand new targets that have never been no BC min files on them whatsoever, and of which two of those, the Treasure Island and the full contact, we're gonna drill. So this is about Treasure Island's about 36 kilometers to the north of the Surebet discovery. We took a bunch of channel cuts, one assay, up to 28 grams per ton gold equivalent of that. Gold represented about 20, call it 21 grams per ton of that, and then got some silver at 63. High copper number of about 5%, and that was over just under a meter. And what's interesting or of note is every sample, or pretty much every sample we took at Treasure Island, ran at least 1 gram per ton gold. And a lot of them had quite high copper numbers as well. We had copper up to 14% copper. So this is a more of a VMS style type of target for us. And obviously, we don't think it's related to the Surebet, but it's on trend with the old Porter, Idaho mine, which was made quite a bit of money back in the early 1900s. So we think it's sort of akin to the Porter, Idaho mine. And the next target is the full contact. And that actually is an interesting one as well, where it's, we've got 1.4 kilometer of this Gaussian trend. The actual red line itself cuts right through this exposed piece of rock within the glacier there. So you get the sediments up to the north and the volcanics down below. And that one there, we sampled just over 101 grams per ton gold equivalent. So it's about 3.25 ounces per ton gold. And of that, actually, the gold number was 101, and there was a little bit of silver in there. Copper was up to sort of 1% as well. And again, these are targets that have never been walked on before, never been sampled, never been drilled before. So two maiden drill programs going on this year, which is obviously, pretty exciting stuff. Well, and actually Jackpot as well. So if you add that one in, there's kind of three maiden programs going on for us this year. So should provide a lot of catalyst for the shareholders.
Yeah, Roger, you said it. There's so much drilling going on with this company between the Surebet, Bonanza Shear, and just getting deeper into the Golden Gate Zone, where you only kind of left us with a teaser on that last year. And now you've got all these three other maiden drill programs going on at Jackpot, Treasure Island, and at Full Contact. It's going to be a busy year. I guess we should just wrap up reminding people what other investors are excited about this. You've got some important key stakeholders in Goliath Resources. I would love you just to outline that for us, just some of the other stakeholders that are excited about this year's drill program as well.
Yeah, great question. Obviously we have Crescat who have been there with us since December of 2020, who are now kind of around 19% holders of the company. And then shortly after Crescat came in, we had Eric Sprott make an investment, so he's still a shareholder. He's sitting around 3.5%. And then more recently, where we're having success last year, we attracted Rob McEwen to come in personally, and he ultimately came in twice, upsized his position. So now he's sitting around 5% of the company as well. So it's great to have these, like I say, these cornerstone, world-renowned marquee names in your story. So we're very happy to have them. And like I say, we're in a very unique position with all this discovery potential, new discovery potential happening up at Cambria ice fields on the Golddigger property, plus obviously our flagship discovery at Surebet, which I think provides a really good sort of a stable, call it, evaluation for the company. And then we got lots of blue sky for, obviously it remains open, and hoping to find that elusive feeder zone that's brought all this mineralization to surface. So when you think about a 1.8 square kilometers, we've found mineralization, stack shears. I mean, it's got to be one big powerful system that brought all this mineralization to surface. And if we tag into that, I would imagine it's going to be pretty significant.
Well, we'll wrap it up there for now, Roger. It's going to be an exciting year of drilling at all these different targets. And yeah, the elusive feeder zone remains down there as a mystery, but we're going to see what comes back from the truth machine as the assays come back in. And if people want to follow along with the news from Goliath Resources, definitely click on the link below this interview. It takes you directly over to the company website, right to their news section, so you can follow along as well. And Roger, as you start getting some drill results in and you start updating the market, let's get you back on the show for some updates for an exciting 2024 drill season. Looking forward to our next conversation.
Yeah, looking forward to it as well. And listeners can be assured we will continue to deliver news throughout the program. If we're seeing, obviously visible gold in the holes, we're seeing lots of galena, sphalerite, and so on, which is obviously the telltale of mineralization, where certainly we know that's where the gold it gets carried, obviously quartz and the brecciation. And they can look at, we'll give visuals. People can go look at the 2023 core, 2022 core, et cetera, from, previous news results and kind of figure out if they think that, the quality of that particular hole or the length of that mineralization.
All right, Roger, we'll wrap it up there, but thanks for your time. And we're going to be looking for those pictures and drill core and some of those Pathfinder minerals.
You betcha. Thanks so much.